Thank you for joining us on Abuja today, showing on AGTV Abuja. I'm Jethro Ilya. If you're joining us, we have with me in the studio uh, senior citizen of this country, of the FCT. He is a community leader, that is the newly sworn in chairman of Karubagi Development Association. He is also a senior correspondent with Arise News. Good morning, Sumna Sambu Shagari.
Director of News.
Director of News, sorry.
So much.
Welcome. Yes, congratulations first and foremost for your emergence as the chairman. What does this mean to you?
Well, not necessarily myself. It's actually the community. It means a lot to our community because we've had some developmental issues we've been working towards. On my predecessor tried his best, and he's been able to stop at where he was able to be the pioneer chairman of the association. So
Okay.
I mean, it's heartening that we are also coming to build on the foundation that he has
That's been
already
laid.
laid in place. And so I thank God and thank members of the community for finding me worthy to be the successor to my former chairman, Mr. Dangana Jimiko, and
Yes.
we are trying to see how we work to build on the foundation that he has laid. And we hope that just like people trooped out massively during the elections to actually ensure that I'm returned elected, they will also provide such a huge and immense support to me
Administration.
and my executive to be able to move towards developing our community better.
Okay, looking at Karu chiefdom. I'm sure this association is not just for the Karu community, but the chiefdom entirely,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now we've seen over the years we've covered even the Karu uh, cultural day. Are there plans to, or is it part of your plans to revive, not just reviving, but improving on it?
Yes, of course. We not want to improve on it alone. We want to make it a baggy thing so that we'll be able to bring all baggy people from not just within the federal capital territory, but from across the state where we are from.
The four other
Niger,
states,
yeah, Niger, Kogi. I mean, we're
Nasarawa.
actually, if you even look at it, we're even more than four states because
Okay.
even Kogi, we still have some areas, though not as much as Nasarawa,
Yes.
Kaduna, and
Yes,
all of that,
Kogi, they
Niger.
are bragging in Kogi in large
Yes.
chunk
Well,
of them.
that's it.
I've
So,
visited that.
yeah,
And we've seen that we have over 45 communities in Kogi State
yeah,
who are baggy people.
yeah, very well. I mean, when you move in from Abadi to Kutokari and all of that,
Up
you
to
see
Lokoja.
Lokoja axis there. There are so many baggy people. So we want to build a cultural day that will be all encompassing. This time around, we are going to make it in such a way that you have the private sector participating, and we will actually make it to meet international standards.
Standard.
That's the idea behind reforming it. We are going to
Okay.
take some time to rearrange everything, so people should not be in haste for
To
us
see
to
it.
get to the next Karo. Agricultural day, and then
Okay.
we're even from the name and everything. So we want to reform how we present ourselves before the world because Karo is actually the navel of the Baggy
Nation.
community, the Baggy nation generally. So we want to see how we reform it and make sure that things are in proper order. Then before we allow our visitors to come and see what we do, and then of course reform our cultural practices, cultural artifacts that will be presented to the general public, and then make it something that's worthy to be looked forward to.
Wow, there's so much visitors and even the Baggy Nation would be expecting from your leadership. Moving forward, looking at Karo, the nature of Karo being a cosmopolitan society, what is the role of these visitors or those who have come to reside with you in developing this community vis-a-vis this association?
Well, yeah, I'm very sure you're talking about residents, people
Yes,
who reside
yes,
within our community. Well, over time, our community has lost its virginity, if I will call it that way,
yes.
because we are not just alone any longer. We have so many people coming around,
Other
and
Nigerians.
sometimes, yeah, it looks like other Nigerians who are residing want to even tinker with how our town looks like, and sometimes that's what I keep reminding our people. We mustn't lose touch with who we are while accommodating other visitors. So we've
Yes.
tried to actually see how we work with them, and my leadership will see how we work with the Karo Residents Association to be able to support our association to be able to to be able to reform the Karo community entirely. And not only Karo, but Karo chiefdom. You know, there's a difference. So Karo
Yes.
community is the headquarters of Karo chiefdom.
Yes.
While in Karo chiefdom, there are several ancillary towns that are connected to, like Jukwe, like Nyanya, like Bagarapi, and then
Yeah.
you go on up to
Orozo.
Orozo and all of that. So
Yes.
all these towns, they are the suzerain. Karo is the suzerain for all of them. So they are all linked to Karo. And then in the time past, all their chiefs, even up till now, we are the ones who always is our Sakari of Karo that actually
That
hands
coronates.
over,
Okay.
yeah, coronate. So we
Them.
want to see how we not only deal with baggy enclaves within these areas, but also the residents to respect our cultural practices, respect our cultures, our artifacts, and our areas to see how we can reform together. And I'm much more interested in the issues of sanitation, cleaning the environment, our waterways
Mm.
are having problems. And then, of course, politically, we should be respected. If
Wow.
we have decided to go at a particular way, the residents should support us because we've been accommodating of them.
Yes.
We've been very peaceful, so they should not come and also want to stand and trample on our political rights. And then religion too. People should
Does
be able
that
to respect
does
our
that
religion.
does that relate to the last election?
Yeah, yeah, of course. It has to do because most times people have thought that we won't be able to build Karubagi Development Association structure to be able to have a seamless succession. People just thought it was an association that would just come around and then it would
For a
just be
while
there.
ago.
But we decided in 2012 to set it up with the late our Royal Highness Royal Highness Emmanuel Kiauta
Yokwi.
the Sakari of Karu. In 2012, alongside the 20-man committee, which I was a member of others, we set it up as an umbrella body of all associations and groups within Karo and within the chiefdom to be able to see how to drive development, not forgetting the residents, but of course, we want to see how we recover our town back because development seems to have swallowed our people.
Mm.
Most times, even some of the majority of the land being occupied by people who come from other states and all of that. Sometimes they want to just push us aside as if we're nothing. And we're saying, no, we want to recover our town back. And we would start by developing our people through education and scholarship, skills acquisition. We're also going to environment, and then we're also going into assets and acquisition of properties by Kagbada to be able to strengthen where our people live. And then, of course, we have our natural assets that God has given to us. The mountains are there, the waterfalls, and all of that. So we are going to see how we make use of this to the benefit of our people. And then, of course, we have the motor parks and all of that. We work with the Abuja Municipal Area Council and work with the federal government to see how our people can be empowered. Skills acquisition. I want us to have something like a pottery center, a cultural center, where where they do this baggy clothing and all of that. Somewhere where our women can go, sit down, learn, and the young people, while they are educating themselves, can go and learn a craft. So it's a big task ahead of us.
It is indeed.
And we hope that you also be supportive.
Of course, we'll always be there to support your government, your administration. You made mention of something political. The residents who came in respecting where you are tilting towards. Does that relate to 2023 general election?
Yes, you will know that before 2023, we used our political leader in the person of Senator Philip Aduda, used to be the minority leader of the Ninth Senate.
Yes.
And then he had got to the apex of his career,
Yeah.
and then we had thought that he will continue to get the support, and maybe we'll support him to become the Senate president. But unfortunately, because of the things that were going on within the country and all of that, and then of course even some people within our community having some feelings that they had some challenges with him and all of that. So we have a situation whereby people decided to actually go the other way. And we are saying that, look, as we are going into elections in the future, we want the residents to help us to be able to go in a certain
preserving
direction.
these positions.
Yes, because our political leaders are people who represent us and we mustn't play with them. Residents should be able to know when to support us, and then we'll also see how we can support them. Because if we don't have strong political leaders, for example, Senator Philip Aduda, if he was around now, the issues of, we're talking about permanent secretaries that...
Yes, I was going to ask you that.
It could have been better negotiating, but when he's out of power and he's doing his best from the side, but nonetheless, also we have spoken with our political leaders, so they should learn how to engage more with residents. It's not only us, because we are thought that we're the major deciders of the voting patterns. But we have seen
Yes.
that the residents also have
Also
a
have
very
a lot.
strong voice.
Yes.
So our political leaders should not just go with the baggy or indigenous people. No, they should learn how to interact with other residents and
But the
Nigerians
Dagi and the
in
Indigenous
Abuja.
have so far from my walk around
Yeah.
have complained bitterly that our political leaders do more with the non-indigenous than even the indigenous.
Yes,
And
because
here
of
you're
the
talking
fear.
about them doing working with the indigenous and forgetting the. So how do you strike a balance with this?
Yes, I mean there has to be a serious balance because what some of the residents told us from the few things we have learned is that some of the projects that were brought in place, that some of them we don't ask them whether they need roads. It's only the indigenous people that the senator, House of Rep members, and others ask whether they need road or they need borehole here and all of that. And they feel that they have to send a strong message this time around that whatever our political leaders are doing, whether from our minister, for example,
Yes.
Honorable
But
Giselo, that is
okay,
there, it
Giselo.
needs to carry them along. Our AMAC chairman, Christopher Mekalango, he needs to carry residents along.
Along.
And so our political leaders too need to be educated over and over that we should find it's a delicate balancing.
Yes.
I mean, a fine line between managing the indigenous people who
And the
you are
residents.
among, and then of course the residents. But the residents must understand that we can't go to their states and
And
determine
contest.
political power. We can't even contest them. But if they come here and they want to contest with us, then they should understand that we also have certain expectations and challenges. What we have senators and House of Rep members now that are non-indigenous.
Yes.
But you can see that sometimes we do so many things they don't identify with us. And that's what I've been telling the residents too. That you accused us, our political leaders, that they were not reaching out to you. But you have also seen that when a resident has become a senator, has become an honorable member, some of them are far from us.
From
We
the
don't know
indigenous
what they are doing.
communities.
They are not defending our interests and all of that. So next time, when indigenes decide not to vote for a resident,
Residents.
you could see the difference. But I've been appealing to them, let's look for a delicate
There's a need
balance.
to balance.
Yes.
All right, before I let you go, just yesterday, the Minister of the FCT released appointment were ranging from the permanent secretary to the chairman of the FCT Civil Service Commission, the newly established one, among others,
Yeah.
having from the list, having just one person
Yeah.
from the
entire
indigenous
people of FCT.
people of the FCT. How does this go with you, the indigenes?
Well, we do not take it lightly. We are saddened that the federal government of Nigeria seems to have pushed us further into marginalization. We are thought that with the coming the FCT
Minister.
Civil Service Commission, that at least will be given a voice much more than we have. I mean, one out of how many?
Out of 6.
Yeah. So,
And then one out of 9.
9 actually. So,
9 and 6.
Yeah.
Or 7 or 8. Because
Yeah.
there's a chairman
So,
and there's a head of service.
Yeah, head of service and all of that. So 9 in all. And we have just one permanent secretary in the person of Mrs. Grace Adailo.
Yes.
Well, the thing is that we'll continue to seek for more representation. We'll continue to plead.
Is there a role for this your representatives, be them indigenous or not, in the addressing these challenges?
Yes, of course. I mean, that's why when you represent people, you have to carry their voices to the government. And that's what we expect our current Senator Reti Kingibe, and then the Honorable Member, the House of Rep member.
Amakambwari.
Yes, Amabwari.
Abuja South.
Yeah, of course. Of course, including Abuja South. They should all come together and see how they will be able to combine their strength together to push for indigenous people. At least, if not for anything, we had expected 50-50. But when you talk, they will say we do not have capacity, we don't have enough people. But that has been defeated
how
over
true
time.
could that be?
We have enough people who are empowered, and some of these people were political leaders who were brought in. Felix Obua, who was brought in from the South to come and represent that region here, including others. We feel that they are stronger. I mean, what of meeting with Senator Aduda to have helped them to look for
pick
people.
1 or 2 persons.
Yeah. I mean, they are better people, better qualified, well educated, and all of that. So, what we need is a fresh engagement with the government, and that's why we are pleading with His Excellency Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, to see how he can partner with our people, so as to reduce,
the tension and
agitations among our people. It's a new dawn for all of us, and we thank the federal government of Nigeria through Mr. President Bola Tinubu for having helped to give us minister for the first time in the federal cabinet a representative.
But more can be done.
But of course, we expect more, and then people who are closer to us, because if you have them in the Civil Service Commission for the Federal Capital Territory, and there are no Federal Capital Territory indigenes.
Indigenes.
I wonder who those people are working for, because there are more indigenes that live here than other Nigerians.
Yes.
So why don't we have enough representation of the indigenous people in the FCT Civil Service Commission? And so please, it's time for re-engagement. We are not fighting, but we are pleading for understanding. We know the nature of the FCT, and also this is a wake-up call to all our political leaders who are there right now, including future political leaders. We mustn't shy away from taking advantage of the current constitution review that the National Assembly is embarking on. Let's submit memoranda. Let's make representation. We've been calling for FCT to be fully declared a state. The Supreme Court has said that in the last election that FCT is a state. So what are we waiting for?
Is this not an implementation of that by the appointment of the permanent secretary?
Yes, it's a subtle implementation of that.
But we
have
not with the indigenes.
Yeah, but they are not doing it with the indigenes. So they are saying that FCT is a state for all Nigerians. So all Nigerians will
someone
come
said
and enjoy
FCT
the rights.
is a federal state.
Yeah, I mean,
that was someone said on social media handle.
And that's why, if you had listened to my previous commentary that I made, in my own news channel, I said that look, FCT is a hermaphrodite state.
Wow.
It's neither a man or a woman. That's how it's being presented. But our people will need to speak with the Supreme Court to interpret what they meant by their judgment.
Yes.
And so it can't be left until our people also approach the Supreme Court.
All right. Thank you, Shagari Sambo, Director News, Political Desk with Arise News. Thank you for coming on the show today to talk about the community development and the FCT at large. We hope to have you again and again.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's how much we can take for today. Join us again.